Mm, olha só. Now I feel confident talking to the teacher, but they didn't have much before. I say they got what person next to you scratching or I sat in the chair that sleeps every time you move. It's the person. But imagine someone else sits in that chair. You cannot. I just have to adjust my way to make that. They and like like Endgame or whatever. And not 15 minutes looking around the pool, running around in the head, you're spending 3 minutes walking. The 3 minutes is your head. So I am not mistaken. There are 3 trends, and I would not be surprised if no school has this. Trends are like themes, like what are the questions focusing on? One of them is pedagogy, which is just simply how do you teach this? What are the ways to teach this? Something. Another concept is this focusing on English language learners specifically, and the third is terminology. So ELL is like there will be questions that say, okay, you've got 14 ELL students in your class, and they're struggling to learn this concept of geometry. What do? A, try and spend. B, like oh yeah, feel free to take questions. I do not want to. And then terminology can be something like music terms, like what is the word echo means? But it can also be something like a fancy math term. Like if you're having combinations with permutations, what is the formula? Middle schoolers should get a formula sheet. We might not have everything under the sun, but you should get something. Elementary will not. And when you're settled, I'd love to ask what is your grade level that you're hoping to teach if you're a teacher? Are you planning to teach? Me? Yeah, I am at a daycare at the moment. So you're early education? Yeah. So do you think this will apply to you as well? It will just be different because it's more about developmental. So like how does it tell? How should you treat someone? If a child, a 6-month-old is dealing with this, how would you do this versus a 6-year-old? So those are more about development. Middle school is going to be like a combination of those. Not but the school will be different. So now that we've done that, before I continue, we have questions for like, oh my god, go over this part. It's okay. Now I have a question. Yeah. I mentioned that yeah. Yes. In a way, like they don't use for anything. Or are there very specific what you need to ask them? So I'll actually give you a little spoiler for the presentation. There will be moments where they're going, these categories are going to blend. They're going to bring up words and they're going to ask you, how do you relate this to the yellow? Or they're going to say, think about this pedagogy or whatever, and how does this play? But I picked a few sample questions of examples from versions of this test, practice versions, all this. And each sample question should center around one of these 3 topics. So it kind of gives you more of an idea. It's that classic, I'm sure you've seen it, when it's multiple choice, you think it'd be easier, but in some ways it's harder because you have to find the correct answer. And you have to figure out what they really want you to focus on. So this is one of those things where it's like, I hope that today you'll kind of get an idea of, okay, this is the kind of question that's focusing on pedagogy specifically. This is asking me to think back to the learners. These are not black and white. People will only be about 1, 2, or 3. But it's more like if you keep this in mind, then when you see these terms and things, you're like, oh, okay, it's all about terminology. I don't know terminology. Just take this right now. Not later. So you don't know. So, this little story. Here's more first example. As the haircut does have a word. According to research, students generally have to sound representation, letters to sound, not part of the name. Which of the following best Is it A, the letter M and the letter N, B, the letter H and the letter W, C, the letter D and the letter D, or D, the letter F and the letter S? Just take a moment, see if you understand it. For context, the next one as 1 to 6. It's show up for this. Okay, here's my second. All right, think about it. Here we go to what I've done is I outline, the outline, what I would do. My opinion is what we follow the underground correspondence throughout the question is what kind of question. It's just about technique. It's just about terminology. Or something else. And if you're like, I need to vote this and that, that's fine too. This is more about getting an idea of the kinds of questions you're asking and not being like, the answer. Just pick one. And then I will break down what I ready? So what I've done now is telling you kind of like answer. It's what this way focusing on the students have been with the sound letter thing because has to learn more about pedagogy. So yes, letter sound language, that sounds like terminology, and it is terminology. The main focus here is how we do it. And so the question now is A, C. Which letter sound is the hardest? Second, make a guess. I will not ask for guesses if you guys want. It's dramatic. So it has nothing's highlighted, nothing's highlighted. Don't worry, you're about to get the answer. Would anybody like to take an official guess right now before it's I guess. I guess. All right, it's different. I'm gonna guess A. Does anybody? It's okay. You don't have to raise your hand. Or C. Or B. Let's do it. It is B. But why? These letters are hard for kids to understand. Think about how much time some works at home. They always go just things they don't know. It's the same tool they don't teach. Here's something that I just want to point out real quick. This type of the eight flash that so if you bring the and then so that's just the way of saying you're sounding it out. That's why it looks so good. Now why are the other answers wrong? And S sound like why not make that like the S or they sound like let's This um, so what I'm saying is that what I that that while now I see the highlight the question that's there, sometimes you know it's a rich for your brain to understand. Sometimes it's so fast, so nervous, like oh, here's a question mark. This one hit. Sometimes it is some questions are kind of hit. So I find that the highlight like okay or underline, but that helps slow down, read down, or sound. Yeah. I know, tough stuff. We can go on with it. Fine. Yes. So now, see how I hold it for the water? So, what I focus on big there's so much paragraph that links to find the answer. I have to just hard to change them. Teacher wants to analyze which would be most effective. So long as now this might be a silly question. What is scaffolding? So scaffolding, I literally I was for 4 years. I barely understood it until my 5th grade college. Anyway, we have like French work, have scaffolding. We in the world at this. Okay. So you build a world for them to understand the language. Okay. So it's like additional materials. Yeah, additional ones looking at it. Right? For us. All right. Think about it, take another second, and then we'll find out. So, quick fix. Best way to do this. Who thinks it could be parents? Here's say, oh my goodness. How about having the student translate text to English? Or maybe provide examples helps access content. Okay? Substances, some variety of crowd. It is deep. Because scaffolding is very development. Now, A and B, for the next question, and speaks the same language. It relies on the students, the mostly to bridge language, but that's not the two. You're saying that you have to understand what I'm saying to you can ask me a question. That's assuming a lot. And then if you have noticed, I've actually learned to we all spoke Spanish, and they kind of group together and all that great social bonding. They didn't ask questions, they would just talk in Spanish and sort of stay like what's and so once And then C is dictionary does that. You look right down word. I have no idea what you're about. I really ask questions. Right. Hey, that's I get a textbook, put it on the desk, open it, whatever. Just write word for that. There wasn't a discussion, there wasn't a big like game, and the preposition, whatever. It was just figure it out. You're on your own. So, yes, this is our break. Launch the staff. Launch press. Yeah. Okay. I have to eat this stand up and stretch at your foot. She literally sometimes yes. Like really coffee said stand up and stretch. Yeah, right. That's our
So most composed. So
most infant, most right. All right, people have the no, there you go. All right, it's a short question, but it doesn't mean it's easy. Which of the following number representations is most appropriate for introducing concepts and principles associated with positive and negative integers? Is it A, an area model? Oh yeah, and by the way, this kind of question for middle school, you would probably get some sort of or reference point. But for elementary, you do not get any testimonies. There will be no formulas. There will be no. Here you go. Here's what an area model is. So is it A, an area model, B, a number of them, C, pattern blocks, or D, a tape diagram? Oh yes,
teachers are so expressive.
teachers are very
Things that have to be kept in your brain. Not a teacher speaking, but this is really impressive. Like
yeah, and the first time I saw this, the only thing I recognized on the spot was number one. And everything else I was like, okay, for that. Sure. So, now, because it is a single question, I didn't see the point. It's just one sentence. But you gotta wonder, does anybody now that we've kind of gotten into the swing of things, do you think it's pedagogy, is it about terminology, or is it focusing on the outcome? Not yellow.
not yellow.
Wow. My money is not terminology. Anybody else think terminology? We could have some pedagogy. That's okay. Pedagogy is such a fun word because in certain parts of the states we hear pedagogy, and then another states we hear pedagogy. And it's like some of us have a strong Chicago accent. Yes. Look at that fun little fancy little thing. So to take the question apart, which number representation would be associated with positive and negative impact? Because this is about national terminology based, let's break it. I'm going to be starting with each one of these. This is what an area model looks like. This is what you know. This is what number one looks like. Give the second pattern box. It's going to come back to you because I think we have okay. But now actually, I'm going to change it. It's like, it's that. Oh yeah, this is a new thing. Yes. Okay. I was like, this is a wild responsibility. So these are various things saying when I ask this question. Let's take a moment. Think to yourself. I'm gonna take another sip of water. Someday. Oh yes, but it's scenario model. What? Wow. See how it is. How about another one? Okay. Our tip diagram. I'm very excited. This would have 0 in the center. I'm like not embarrassed, but I'm also embarrassed. But yes. Yes. See, I'm trying to reply to her class. You know, I looked over this presentation for about 3 months. And I just put in the green part last month. Okay, it's been on my screen for 8 months. And I can talk about it. It's different feature. So now that we've reviewed the different types, you skim questions. Let's narrow down the answer. There's only one thing left. Dun, dun, dun. Can I show up? What about really long questions? The kind of question that you look at and you cry because you see 6 paragraphs and there's no diagram or graph to look at. That you read. So here's what I would say. Find the official question. This is where you say, okay, here's the question mark, but this is what it's actually asking you. Here are the keywords. Review the answers. It is very possible. Have you ever seen those tests? I recently took a test where I had a teacher ask, it was about music, go bigger, and it said, what is the name of this title? Is it Symphony S? Is it Piano Quintet? Is it Piano Quartet? Or is it Symphonic Poem number 2? The fact that it had Piano Quintet and Quartet next to each other made me say, okay, so it's either one of these two or it's one of the other ones. But by looking at that, you can say, okay, I'm listening to this piece right now that I'm supposed to figure out. There's a piano in it. Okay, and this sounds like it's a small group of people, so either it's a quintet or a quartet. Like, there's ways of looking at the answers before you even have to touch the big paragraph, where you can say, okay, these two answers are too similar. They're either red herrings or they're actually the answer something great between, so on. So, and then there is skimming the context. Avoid unnecessary information. Keyword. Sometimes they'll present 3 paragraphs, but all of them is the first sentence of each paragraph extend to me. And then you have to say, okay, so this first paragraph said we're about to something by this one lady. Great. So the next paragraph is what she actually said. The final paragraph is a conclusion, like this is what they want you to think about, and this is where the question. Maybe you don't have to actually read the second paragraph just yet. You may not. But especially in the beginning, I always advise this in there because you only have so much capacity, and this text is going to take a lot of that capacity away. So do all the tricks you can without hurting yourself. Oh, what does that actually look like? And that was an intentional cut. That wasn't supposed to be slow. That was the intention. Okay. Now get ready to go. It's going to be the final test again. A 6th grade class is going to get rocks, part of the science unit. Middle schoolers, this one's for you. If you can understand math, various minerals, giving enough space to grow. Visible crystal shapes as the magnet. If the magnet is slow, so large, magma that rapidly is network that has very small crystals visible with a microscope. Which of the following stick responses to the passage most clearly suggests the teacher that the student is implied practical comprehension skills. I cried while I read that, but I was just reading it. Is it A? Magma is multi-material that particles at the key. B. Large crystals would take a long time to form from the magma. C. Magma is an extremely hot liquid when it is flowing towards the surface. Or D. Rocks with small crystals are more thicker than those with large crystals. Just gonna take a moment to let that sink in. All right, never fun. We're gonna do it today. Let's do it. So what you're about to see is just simply to reiterate. There's so much stuff I actually could not in that moment when writing the slide. I wasn't like, oh, here's what that's. What I want you to do is practice finding the official question on your own. And when you find it, ask your question. Ask this, what type of question is it? This is mostly about pedagogy, terminology, or yoga. So think about it. And while it makes seem obvious and interesting, I can guarantee you when you're overwhelmed in the middle of a 4-hour test, you're going to be like, whereas in this moment, we can sit and just digest it. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to raise your hand. I'm just going to give you another seconds. All right. Which of the responses most clearly suggests is given to the flying infected competition? Just like before, where I said scan and cross things out to stop overwhelming, there's so many technical words that don't matter in that question. You can just get it down to you. You can even say which responses most clearly suggest if you don't mind the potentially inaccurate grammar. So we found the question, we picked the keywords out. You can see it focuses on student comprehension as such. It's about pedagogy and pedagogical questions. Geological or geological? I do not know. It's not pedagogical. Yeah, that's what I thought. It just sounds so weird. But anyway, now that we know that this is about teaching, it's kind of self-explanatory, right? Not really. We're going to ask ourselves, if we could knock out some answers. Which one sounds less like inferring and more like stating information? For reference, inferring is like if your friend normally texts you with smiley faces and one day they just say hey and nothing else, they're not saying, hey, I'm sad, maybe with your attention. But you might be like, is everything okay or something happened? That's an inferring. But if a friend normally texts you with smiley faces and emojis, it's like, hey, I'm really sad and I need your help. That's just misstating. It's just telling you. It's just a completely valid way of expressing yourself. It's just not inferring. So take a moment. Kind of quick. Maybe we'll take 2 guesses right now. All right. Does anybody think they might have some answers they could not have? First, you think so? A is magma. It's multi-material hardens and systems understood. But B, do you have a reasoning, or is it just I felt like it?
It says magma is hot molten material at the top. And
Yes.
then it forms visible crystal shapes as it cools. So I figured that's just a mistake.
Yeah. All right. I respect it. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. but I do respect it.
Good, keep me in the dark. It's tension.
Of course. Does anyone else think it's either A or does anyone else think it's actually that B or maybe it's C? Also D. Can't give it this one. The leaders are part of that. The word that is developed. Yeah. You can have word, you know, where, yes, I like that. Because when you put something like extreme or more quickly, you're kind of putting it like, it's not just a fact. It's not like saying, really looked at this question. I never thought of explaining it like that. I thought, okay, you're that conclusion. It's probably not going to be A. Anyone want to argue what it could be? You know, any other, I don't know, this one can be sus. You know what it's talking about? Yes.
I'm not sure about this, kind of what you guys said.
Okay.
Maybe it seems like B would be knocked out. Because there is a sentence that says, if the magma flows slowly, the crystals can grow very large. And this is kind of like twisting that around and saying like large crystals take a long time to form magma. It just seems like it's switching the sentence, so I might be overthinking it.
It's okay. And this is actually part of why I chose this. There were several paragraphs. There were many questions that were super long and ratings. I chose this one because this is one of those classic. When you get something like this, do not take whether it is correct, wrong, whatever, as a sign of your intelligence or your ability to teach. This is purely a sign that someone is a little sadistic. In the sense that, like, this would honestly be better as a free response because it would allow you to write out and like adjust your answer. By having it make its voice, it's forcing you to put potential into a box. And it was kind of like this is one of those things where it's like you can make this argument for this one. You can make an argument for that. And so don't be surprised if you actually get a little miffed at what the correct answer is. Because I was a little miffed at what the correct answer is. But the reason I chose it is because you're avoiding these questions. And it's really important to remember these questions don't reflect your intelligence. If you know your material, don't do it is wiser to just say, okay, someone's having a bad day when they put this together, than it is to say, oh man, I didn't know that it was actually F. And if I had just known that it was answer F, I would be a better person. No, this is not reflective. So, to knock some things up, I highlighted orange is the one answer that is wrong, and the red is for another answer. So magma is multi-material, the part of the tools. It's not an inference. It literally didn't say. It's just flipping the word. And then C, I was very impressed with you guys. C is wrong. Because magma is not an influence from the surface. It was components. So the fact of saying magma is not liquid. This is one of those things where it's like I was that hotel. Then you have this kind of little, like what I have to do. And I have to force to answer this question. I would read, it's probably cross out. And then I would put all just to for then try. So I pretend I'm on my phone, find or message, and say magma or multi-material. Because I see that anywhere. Magma, multi-material. Okay, answer from concept. If it doesn't look there, next thing. But and just
they're gonna patient this all the time. What can advise that teacher actually that teacher called me is on Monday. But said take a pencil or something and read it like one word at a time. One line, skip one. Our brains are so bad. See, magma is material that hardens, just oh, or maybe it's the large crystal, or that the large crystals take a long time. We go so fast with our pressure that by just taking your whiteboard, your scratch tape, or your pencil, whatever you have on hand, that's why it's still up. Then it's a material for this part of pressure that has saved my grades. Because this test is expensive, you have to pay money to take it. I want to have as much tips as possible so that you're not great on this because just know only make you slow down this one. So clarify why they're flat out wrong. Let's do this. Oh man, is it B? Our process would take a long time to form. So that 14 process for main mistake, which most clearly suggests that putting quotation marks trying to say I don't necessarily see it. That's what they're asking. That is it's applying the chance of really reaching the line. That's
Thank you.
so some people say D. So they would say D. That's okay. We're allowed to say. I cannot remember. I think I actually put a track on too. Oh man, that really was bad section. No, that's not it. So one that is correct, one that is so close but not quite according to this text. It is actually B. And this is why I said you're going to be kind of bit this particular, and it's part of why I chose it. Because
So it's because I took two different parts and put them together. That's the inferring that I literally did what they're talking about.
yes, and yeah, it's so dumb. This was really weird. Yeah. Some questions because they're not all going to be like this. But if you find yourself at a point where you're just like, I'm kind of angry with this question, I would highly advise you to take a step back, flag it, because the test will let you go back to questions and you don't have to answer and move on. You can say, I don't know. I would like to just hold off on answering this and go on to the next one. And this is one of those that I would say, I guess we're flipping a coin today because this is just going to be one of those things. But if you find yourself looking at this and overwhelmed and get irritated, just don't want to do this. Flag and go back because put your energy towards things that you feel more confident in, and things that you enjoy, or at least tolerate. So that when it comes to these, you have that like stamina. Because if you spend 40 minutes on this guy and you're doubting yourself and you're going back and forth and you're like, is it B? Is it D? I don't know. Is it D correct? Then that's 40 minutes you could put gaining confidence in the sentence.
Is it kind of like flag it, get as many points as you know you can get instead of spending time on.
If you're a math nerd who actually knows what the Gary model is, I would go after all the math questions. And actually, I'm giving spoilers next part. Anyway, yeah. Done with that mission, guys. Final thoughts and steps. Glad to go back. You overwhelmed. I can see you from later. I included that very cheesy looking flag. So I believe that is the flag that shows on the. So if you see that guy, and literally, I honestly have done to my testing majors, just sort of saying, I don't like this question. I'm going to flag it and return to it. Because then I'm not struggling and getting snippy and sassy with paper or computer. That's cross out your wrong answer. I should have crossed something. I was debating about it. Anyway, if you know it's wrong, cross it out or write down. Like if you have your scratch paper and you're like, right now I just need to write down what possible answers are. Literally write number 14. It's either A or C. Because when you go through all this stuff, 150 questions is a lot of information. you're going to forget. And you're going to say, I literally had a test like this the other day. That was the first test I ever took. And I did well enough that I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to try to figure it out. So I'm so tired. But in this case, I could just write down, okay, number 14, it's got either be A or C. I know this, I feel confident about it. We go to 150 questions, come back to 14. You don't have to think, crap, which one did I say it was? Or which one did I say it wasn't? You say, okay, between A and C. I hate A. Let's go with C. Yeah, I'll work with your face. You do like final math. Maybe like a few graphs and charts. That's really no training. So I thought it was like the final answers. Then you should search for those. Do not think that just because you're taking this test in one sitting, you have to literally go by through each and every thing one sitting. Have you ever seen? I saw this so weird as a child, but I understand it now. The ACT are one of those kinds of classes. There's some version of one of the standardized classes. Get the whole test. You don't have to wait for that second. Whatever. And I saw a kid literally grab open the seal, look through, and just go through the book instead of like taking his time going through. But he was like, take that. Oh, I like that. Like, and of course, it's paper. So many times there was sit with questions, just flat, because then it's more like you're stretching, you're warming up. I've just run 5 miles and I still have 47 questions. You want to run the 5 miles and when you've already gotten actually, there's a pre-practice test for your grade level and your music teachers from middle school, elementary, we have, I believe, a voucher that will allow you to take this test for free because we're free. Take it because even if it destroys your soul and like it makes you question life, your brain understands stamina required. You don't have to ever take the test and conditions perfectly, like have the phones and you're gonna have to take them up there 5 minutes and like, mom, like you can't say stop with me alone for the next 4 hours because you didn't work that way. But try to take the practice test, try to give yourself parallel situations, something like the test where you can just focus on what you have to focus on. Because then, as someone who didn't do that as a child, I thoroughly regret it because kind of get into the rhythm of it when you've done a practice, when you kind of get an idea what it actually feels like. Treat yourself to like Boba or chocolate, whatever. We have wow. Okay, I remember. Is this like the case here as newspapers? Like if you do it blind, it's not how you're going to put it together on the business. I don't think I suspect it will not be like that. I suspect it will be it's so here's something I can tell you definitively, at least about this test and these slides. If it's about this test, it's probably going to qualify for middle school. They give you 150 questions, except they only take, let's say, 125, those 150. So you put in all your energy into answering as much as you can, and they say, well, we want questions 47, 56, we want questions 22, 23, 26, 25, whatever. But we're not going to, so like, that's why you want to take your time and you want to use your time wisely. Don't waste your time on something that's going to drain your life and soul, because once that's the one question they don't take, you would rather like I think they're really penalizing if it's blank. I don't think they'll say it doesn't convincing because they're overtaking X amount. But you would rather get 147 questions done confidently than 29. And then oh, by the way, the ones who didn't answer, they just happen to be the ones they were taking. That's not. So summary, make this as easy for yourself as possible. It's going to be hard enough as is. So like take those noise canceling headphones, especially if they are up there. Know where the bathroom is. I get ready to do the free tests. It's not fun. But this costs so much money that if you can do it just 1 or 2 takes, it's what it will say. I remember this. I believe this is the type of test that will say, you finished, you wanna cry, if you're done, woo-hoo. You get told that day, if not in that moment, whether or not you pass or fail.
No.
You do not get told your percentage, and you do not get told if you got right or wrong. You just think they say, hey, you gotta take it again in a month, or hey, you're done, congratulations. So you can do something. I apologize for me. I apologize for yes. I hope this wasn't too demoralizing. I wanted it to be more inspiring than soul.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I wish I had had this guessing because I had a burden. Like I had someone who's like, I don't know. I'm intimidated by it, so I'm just going to ignore it altogether. That. Anyway, do we have any other questions? Yes. Self-evolution. I think so. Personally, I believe yes, because if you think about it, you're someone who needs to have tangible stuff. Like if you needed with that math example to see what pattern blocks look like, going to be at a slight disadvantage compared to someone who read visualize. And if you're someone who needs to talk through it or listen and you have to be silent, it's going to be hard for you to kind of like. So what I would say is if you're someone who best way to learn is to talk through it, I would see like take quick notes. This is so hard because this isn't a paper test. You don't get to write on the test and say this is done. You have to like write on your scratch paper. So I would make my handwriting a little extra small, make little notes or whatever, and like maybe it's if I see a long one or paragraphs, I quickly skim it. I only give it 15 seconds of my time. I might write 27. Okay. You don't need paragraph 2. Just read the first sentence or whatever. Like little notes to myself. So that's the closest I'm going to get to that. And if I'm visual, maybe I'll try to see if I can get a math problem or whatever. Or if I get a music problem, I might try to draw it out so I can remember what it's supposed to be. So the good thing about middle school is you get a formation. I wanted to include it, some little bits that I didn't actually. This is fine. I think I was told maybe don't because 1 through 6 will not have that formula sheet. But I would definitely, as someone who's now very I would figure out your learning style and then like the only one like visual, that's just looking at things and then mixed parts and things like that. Verbal is talking it through. And I guess if you're kinesthetic, you need to play with it. Like if someone said, this is a Logitech remote control device or whatever, they just said that to you and you're like, I don't know what that means. But then you hold it and play with it. You might also have to talk through or draw out or just kind of figure out a way to, okay, I didn't understand this question. So let me imagine the scenario in my head. I'm in a classroom. There's 15 kids. 7 of them are speaking in other languages. We have dictionaries. We have this. We have that. What would I think? But I don't think there would be a correlation of some kind with their size. That's I appreciate that. I would see, I would look at in the Illinois guidelines what they want students to be learning. That's a double-edged sword, I guess, because on one hand, it could make sense. Like if they say all 6th graders are expected to know these principles of geometry, then you have something with which you say, okay, do I know what an octagon is? Do I know how to find the area of a trapezoid or whatever? And then you put that on a next card, figure it out. But on the other hand, if it's just like students are expected to understand improvising and rhetoric and whatever, then you can say, okay, this is not going to happen. Because yeah, that's fancy words are fancy and confusing. It's fine. Any other questions? Yes. So say like what we're okay. That we only do subjects for students. They have actually figured out how to use them
there is a website. The website where you get structure should get an email. What I would do is when you're free time, I would say something easy like, oh, we're not going to want to read. Write down something like look up voucher in your email because you should have an email saying, here's your test voucher. Because the test voucher site will have, okay, this is the elementary school test specifically, this is the middle school test. And then you can confirm, is it all areas? Is it just, I'm a middle school math teacher versus history? You know, yeah, that's what it is. Because I did do a practice test, didn't know. So I did social studies and English. So I think the only for middle school we only do like one quarter of those. So okay. Yeah, I would definitely confirm with and I feel like there's one that I've been working with Dale, and I think she would know for sure because she also presents on this. And she might. I've been focusing more on early education and grade 1 to 6. So I think that this is the answer. And then have Dale be like, actually, you're wrong. But yeah, definitely reach out to Dale, see if you can get another candidate. I don't know. But okay. Right. Well, you are dismissed. Lesson. And what do you do with the lesson of trivia?
Take it with you.
Okay.
Yes, take food. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And
I know. We'll give it.
Oh, this is free. What is that? Oh. No. I'm gonna confuse myself. Wait. After? Yeah. Miriam. Mary. No. Mandy.
Yes.
Mandy. I told you. I literally said it very today. Okay. Good friend. Jasmine. 6 months. Don't feel bad. I had to look up one of my classmates' names on D2Well before our teacher said break into groups with the person I told you to. And I had to look up what she looked like on D2Well to make sure I went to the correct person. Oh, wow. That's genius. Yeah. And it's super resourceful. Yes. Thanks. And feel free to yeah, but what was the fun thing? Like, Bill, we have a question for you, Bill. Hey, subject test. You have a moment. We were just wondering, because we have some middle school content people, and I think the question was along the lines of, does middle school have to take an all encompassing, like grades 1 through 6, or do they take a content specific? I'm going to be in this. That's what we even.
But if we go on the website. Sure.
Oh, cool.
But we've been focusing on the elementary so much that.
Like, if there's like the I feel that's there you go. Yes. That's maybe. Got it. Yes. Oh. That's
Hundred questions for language literacy.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god. I'm just.
No, but I would do a deeper dive. And
Yeah.
One of your contact info. Yeah.
This is actually, because it said there was a general test, but it also said it was being retired.
Okay.
So they tired less.
January or something. So, yeah, let me look into it. Thank you.
I'll be both there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For a second.
I know, right? It's I know, but it's not, yeah. What's up? I, this is exactly. What's my second? Yeah, but I was. I took second chapter. Really? Oh, good. I don't think. Bye.